All right, you are watching the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast, and if you're listening, you're listening. Today we have a wonderful, pleasant, and special guest here, stand-up comedian, filmmaker, and actress Sandy Gelfound. Lovely to have you, Sandy. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much. I'm putting this on my Facebook page so I can have people join.
Yay! That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction here. Sandy
Okay.
Gelfound is a stand-up comedian, and she has performed alongside the likes of Jay Leno and Jerry Seinfeld. And I'm sorry, I had a moment. Um, she pom-poms, waves, eats, shops, writes, and cartwheels through her life's journey and has her own film in the works. If you check out sandygelfound.com, you can find all the information there. I didn't want to mess that up. That's why I slowed it down a little bit. My first question for you is, what made you want to pursue a career in the arts?
Well, that's a great question. I think there are some of us that are are very blessed that early on we recognize what we're supposed to be doing. It's not that for everyone. I realize that, but it's something that I did doing impressions of my parents since I'm a little girl and getting laughs for it. So I can't imagine what else I would be doing except being on stage.
I
It was
love
a
that. That's a
natural,
great
yeah.
answer.
It was natural. Um,
Yeah.
they wanted me to. My mother, may she rest in peace. She was a linguist, and she wanted me to work at the United Nations as a translator. And I got to mentor there one day through a friend of a friend, and I didn't want to be there. I kept telling her, "Mom, I want to be a comedian. I don't want to work at the United Nations." And she said, "Just try it, just try it." So I had the opportunity to translate for a representative from Spain. And she said, "Bienvenidos todos. Estoy muy contenta de estar aquí en los Estados Unidos." And she went on in Spanish. And so I translated, "Wow, I'm really happy to be here. There's a lot of cute guys. I want to find out where the party is after." And what she really said is, "I'm very happy to be here in the United States and looking forward to talking about world peace." So that was my last stint at the United
Yeah,
Nations.
that makes sense. It's like, no, not for me. Stand-up comedy is where it's at.
Yeah,
So that leads
that's
into my next question. When did you start performing stand-up comedy?
right. Professionally, or I mean, of course, when we would have get-togethers, we would. My parents were ballroom dancers, so my brothers and sisters and I would do impressions of them ballroom dancing. My dad had kind of a big tummy, so we would put a pillow underneath the shirt, and I would be my dad, and my dad kind of talked out of the side of his mouth. He was from Newark, New Jersey, and he always had like a cigar in his mouth. And he would always tell my mom, like when they were dancing, "Dip, dip," to do the dip, ballroom dancing. And so I would be dancing with my sister, pretending to be my dad. I'm like, "Dip, dip." I said, "Dip. Can't you hear me?" You know. So my parents would start laughing, and those are my first memories of actually performing. And then wrote up a few minutes. I have a good friend, Mike Hemmelstein, who started out as a comedian, and he's really established, very successful songwriter now. And together with him and another guy named Jerry Katz, who is also very funny, we sat down and we wrote like 5 or 10 minutes of stand up for me. And then I went down to the Comedy Store, and the rest is history.
I love it. That's
Yep.
beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you for that. And
Yep.
you just made me laugh already. I knew it was going to happen. Happened last week with Chuck Myers, and now it's happening with you. So my third question for you is: you have a film in the works of your own. So are you able to talk about it at all?
Oh, sure. This is my first screenplay. It's autobiographical, and I'm really excited about it. I'm on my first rewrite, and I've had uh, two people do something called script coverage. This is all new for me to learn about all of these things, and the feedback is really great. They love the characters. Like you just saw my dad, and my dad's like a Jewish Archie Bunker from All in the Family, if anybody remembers that character. And my mom is this beautiful Edith, different religious backgrounds and just very clear characters. So that was great. And they gave me great feedback. And so I'm in the process of it doing another rewrite and then start pitching it. So I'm very excited.
Love it. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see the film. I
Thank
learned
you.
about it. I
And I
learned
want to
about it
I
when
want
you.
to put a shout out to a very good friend of mine, Brad Slate, who is a wonderful playwright. And it's so important when you're going down these scary new ventures. It's my first go at screenwriting to have these wonderful people who support you. And Brad is a great comedian and playwright himself. He's got his own movie coming out called The Bitter Truth that I happen to be in as well. Thank you, Brad.
Congrats.
Thank you. And uh, he was so supportive and he knows the business and he would give me great feedback. And that was, I just can't stress how much that means to me and how important it is to have a team when you're going through this. And his buddy,
Yes.
another comedian that I work with, Jeff Wayne, also very supportive, always trying to find new material for me. He says, you've got this whole wealth with the Russian gypsy background, and why don't you dig into that a little bit more? And these are both of them, Jeff Wayne and Brad Slater, are in the new movie The Bitter Truth that Brad wrote, and they're both really great, supportive, and talented comedians. So
That's
I just
wonderful.
appreciate them, and I really want to mention, nothing is really done on your own. This is not,
No.
by myself business. This is like a lot of support. And I'm a cheerleader, so I know how to give the support. That's my background. I was a cheerleader for the Raiders for 5 years, but for a cheerleader to actually ask for support is a different thing. So they are
You
my
mean the Oakland Raiders, not the Vegas Raiders, right?
I'm talking about the Los Angeles Raiders.
Ooh,
Yes,
okay.
the
There you
Los
go.
Angeles Raiders. That's right. LA Raiders.
Sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's fine. So so I've got The Bitter Truth that I have a part in.
Lovely.
And that's a great, funny, but touching movie that Brad Slate wrote. And then I have my movie. Going to hold off on the working title right now, but
Fair.
it's autobiographical and it covers everything. And I'm really excited about it.
I appreciate an honest autobiography. I can't
Mhm.
stand the music biopics where they'll like gloss over things, and it's most of the time from Hollywood. So I
Yeah.
appreciate something real from Hollywood.
Yeah.
So thank
This
you.
this is covering it's very honest and fun though, fun, and it's kind of like Rocky. It's a overcoming. It's a Rocky meets the NFL meets Annie, because my sisters and I were in an orphanage for a time. They don't have
Oh,
orphanages anymore, but they used to,
no.
and now they're called the foster care system. So
Yeah.
overcoming all of that and going on to have a good life and a life of gratitude.
Yeah. I had a pretty rough upbringing too, so we're kind of
Really.
examples of making it, The
Mhm.
odds said no, but we said yes.
That's right. Good for you. Good for you, Joe.
So my next but also to get onto the topic of your movie, how I found out about it was from Jamie Kennedy's podcast. That's how I found you, was through
Yeah.
Jamie. So I'm
Now
really
that's
glad
another
that
one, Jamie Kennedy. What a great guy he is, and funny and hysterical. And I think I'll always give him the credit of giving me my break because I went on the road with him. He told me that my set of stand up that I was opening for him at a local comedy club, and he said that's a Tonight Show set. And that gave me such confidence. And he's been very supportive. I went on the road with him and got a lot of footage to the Improv, Chicago, North Carolina, Florida, Tampa,
Mhm.
uh, everywhere. And really was a working road comic and got a lot of experience that way. So and he's got a new movie out.
Yes, Don't Suck. Everybody go
Yes,
buy it and
don't
rent it right
suck. It's
now. It's great.
great.
It's my favorite movie
Really
of last
funny.
year. And
Really
it's not just
funny.
because I'm biased. Like, it
Mhm,
really was my favorite movie of last
mhm.
year. So he did something with that character, man. It made me feel stuff. Pulled it out of nowhere too. It was great.
Right?
Yeah, that was great.
B Rad. B Rad makes a comeback. The B Rad.
Yes. Yes, B-Rad from Malibu. No, it's
That's
funny. How I became buddies with him was just by, commenting on his stuff and supporting him, defending him in comment sections when people are unfairly mean to him. He
yeah,
appreciates that. That goes a long way. But
it's
like,
so
I don't
true.
know, like he's still there. He's been consistently my friend for over
Mhm.
3 years, and I gave Green Day way more money, and they're not personally involved. So I'm just saying, like, Jamie's a real one. He really is. He's coming on the podcast soon too. So it's been
That's
nice to.
wonderful.
Yeah,
You
I'm
became
excited.
best friends by supporting him with your comments, and I
Yep.
became friends by bringing him over chicken soup when he had COVID.
Yeah. Yo, it was funny. My parents had COVID in like December of 22, I think. And I was freaking out because they're in their 70s. So I was like, oh my God, they're gonna die. And he said they will be okay.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do that for everyone. That was
No.
really nice of him. Like, he goes out of his way. So like, I know you guys are friends, and I know Chuck and him are friends, and I love having his friends on the podcast. But I said to Kyle the other day, Kyle Anderson, you know him.
Yes, I know
I was
Kyle. He's another great comedian.
I was like, I promise I'm not poaching hate to break it to you as guests. And he laugh reacted. So that's good. And then that day, though, Jamie posts about having Lee Waddell on his. And I said to Kyle, okay, I see now. I see. He thought that was funny too.
Good for you
I,
for doing this podcast. This is great, Joe. How long have you been doing it now?
I started in 2021 because of Jamie, because he was responding to my comments. I'm like, oh, well, this is a sign. I have to start one now. And that's, yeah, so it's come full circle, really. I've had a bunch of people on, interviews I've gotten myself just by reaching out and appreciating people's art and being respectful about it. A lot of people have ignored me, but the real ones have come on, and you're one of the real ones. So I really
Thank you.
appreciate
The
it.
real deal. Appreciate that.
All right. So my next question for you is, what is your favorite story to share from your years of experience in the entertainment industry?
Hold on just a second.
No worries.
What happened here?
Did something get messed up?
Yeah. Okay. Can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah, no worries. The next question I have for you is, what is your favorite story to share from your years of experience in the entertainment industry?
Oh gosh. Mitzi Shore told me I wasn't funny. It devastated me.
Huh.
Um, and I had a great set that night, and I sat down with her, and she said I wasn't funny, and I took it personally. I went on to become, you know, a comedian who worked the road and stuff, and I knew that it wasn't about me, but it took a while. And when you're a new comedian, I guess I'm telling that story so that you know what other people think of you is none of your business. Um, and people have their reasons for going into show business. They have their own issues. So make sure you have an inside support group, and a lot of people who can, you know, you can talk to when those kinds of things happen. I remember that. That's a negative. Positive is, I never saw myself as like the model type. I was always funny. I used to be overweight, so I never thought that like, I'm pretty or anything like that. I was just wanted to be funny. That's all I wanted to be. But when I had lost the weight and became a cheerleader for the Raiders, they had this, I guess it was a talent. I thought it was a talent show, but it was kind of talent and beauty. And the beauty part really made me nervous. It was called the Miss Hollywood pageant. And, I after I lost the weight, I just decided to be the yes girl. Like whenever someone say, "Oh, you should do this." Okay, yes, I will. I will. Oh, did you see that? Somebody said, "Oh, there's the Miss Hollywood pageant. You should try that." I said, "Yes."
Yeah.
And when they said it was a talent, then I was happy because my talent was stand up. And but the other side is you did have to do the bathing suit thing as well. And I was so uncomfortable because I used to be heavy and I'm in this new body and I didn't know how to do all that stuff. I knew how to tell a joke and I knew how to be funny, but I didn't know how to, so I was really throwing myself in there. And then I got in the top 5 and really made a lot of great connections. And it really was the most wonderful thing that happened. And the same thing happened when I tried out for Raiders. Over 1,000 girls try out for cheerleader. Unbelievable.
Oh, and you were in the top picks. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I used my comedy because each girl is prettier than the next. So they said, where do you see yourself in 10 years? You have the interview portion, right? And I said, well, I hope to have a boyfriend by then. And they thought that was funny. And here I am. Now I'm with the alumni cheerleaders, and I have this sisterhood of Raiders cheerleaders that is just phenomenal.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was funny. That's still funny. But that's cool how that that one little joke got you, and now you still have the connection. That's so cool. I love that. That's beautiful right there. It also leads into my next question, which is, what are some pieces of advice that you would give to young artists starting out?
Go to where the love is. Stay away from the negativity. There's a lot of people that have issues, and develop a relationship with God because humans are disappointing.
Yes.
Humans can be very disappointing. They're humans, but
Yeah.
God will always be there for you. So develop a really core inside and go for it.
Amen.
Go for it. No matter what you do, just go for it. And if you get kicked down, just brush yourself off and start all over again.
Sandy's right. Listen to her. You hear me, people? Listen to her. It's true, though. It is.
And
you're right.
Find your niche. Find your niche. If you're a singer, what's your niche? If you're a comedian, what do you talk about? What's your point of view?
I love it. That is a great answer. You're very good at this. I can tell you've been doing interviews for a while. You know what you're doing. It's not your first rodeo.
Well, you're doing a great job too, Joe.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So I actually had to change.
It takes a lot of courage to start your own podcast.
Well, I mean,
many people think about doing it, but you're actually doing it. So kudos.
3 years in the making, and it's just like performing music. You just get over the little humps of nervousness, I did have to change the next question because it was, how did you and Jamie meet, which we already kind of went over. Okay. So I changed that to, who are some of your favorite comedians, inspiration, etc.
Let's see. Well, I like Ellen DeGeneres. She's clean. She's a clean comedian, and her jokes really make you think,
Yeah. Ellen's just kind of like that in general too, though.
Yeah. I really think it's very clever. Very, very clever. I like, what's his name? Oh God, I went blanker. Your hair's not that blonde. You're not that tall. He was talking about girls and using all their extra stuff for glamour.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it off the top of my
I
head.
know. I go blank. And
Tip of the tongue. Tip of the tongue. It's on the tip of the tongue.
I loved Robin Williams.
Oh, I
Really
know.
loved Robin Williams.
Still
I
love
love
Robin Williams.
I love Jerry Lewis with all his characters and his facial expression. Mister. You know, I love all the old time comedians. I think my
Yes.
favorite I'm kind of, my father, may he rest in peace, he liked Shecky Green. I don't know if you remember that old time comedian. And
I've heard of him.
he passed away recently, but Jackie Mason,
I've heard
he
him
was
too.
a Jewish comedian. He had his own one-man show on Broadway, and I saw
Wow.
that. I love Billy Crystal. Billy Crystal
Oh, he's funny.
he was the inspiration for me to write my own one-woman show called The Kosher Cheerleader. And I saw him tap dancing with just one foot. He said that was his specialty as a kid. He had 2 tap shoes, but for some reason, like the left foot wouldn't tap. He would just tap with the one foot. And it shows him tapping with just the one foot moving, And I saw him on Broadway in New York, and I started writing my show right afterwards. It was just so
Like that.
inspirational. And then I ended up right off Broadway. It was actually on Broadway, but they call it off Broadway because it was a smaller theater doing my show. And I still love that show because I do like 42 characters. Everybody in my family and the Raiders and
yeah, all the inspirations right there. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
So and I just saw his other show, Mr. Saturday Night, not just, but I think it was a couple of years ago. Mr. Saturday Night was on Broadway. It was another show, but it wasn't a one-man show. And that was fabulous too. I like the old time vaudeville shtick from vaudeville. I really enjoy that, appreciate it.
It's funny you say that because
what I'm saying is I like jokes that are clever.
Yes, thoughtful, not dirty.
Yeah.
My professor, Jake Nicely, he actually ran a couple of vaudeville theaters over in Nashville for a while. His discography's got a bunch of platinum records, and I just thought it was cool because I'm over here doing the research, and they say vaudeville's dead, but no, it's still it's doing all right in the UK and private theaters.
Who else is a great comedian? And I think one of the funniest comedians of all time is Mark Schiff.
Mark Schiff. I love Mark Schiff.
Clean, funny, clever. And he's been a wonderful support to me over the years. Very, very funny and wonderful person. I think he's terrific. And another one who has that kind of sarcastic sense of humor that I love is Bob Nickman.
Okay.
Bob Nickman is he wrote for television sitcom writing, and he is
hard job.
He's absolutely clever and funny and very, very supportive. Another one in my team. So
shout out to the team.
Shout out to Bob Nickman, because he's just terrific and funny and talented, and I really appreciate him so much.
I love it. My next question for you is what was it like performing stand-up alongside the likes of Jerry Seinfeld and Jay Leno? That's a really cool thing right there.
Well, they couldn't believe that they got to perform with me. They were like, "Oh my God, I get to perform with Sandy Gelfound? Oh God, can I have your autograph?" Just kidding. Jerry, great comedian. Very, he writes every day. He's the one that I followed, and because when I was on the Miss Hollywood pageant, Jerry was the stand-up comedian on that show. And I met him, and he saw that I was doing stand-up during rehearsal. He goes, "Why don't you do the joke like this?" And I said, "Oh yeah, that's much better." He said, "Do you write every day?" And I said, "Not every day." He goes, "Write every day." So, and he had his big notebook with him. I mean, I've got, I like to write a lot. So I don't know if you can see, these are all my,
Yeah.
I've got a whole folder of stuff. And then I have a 10-minute set, 15, 20, 30,
Pages filled
45,
out.
1 hour. And there's
That's
like
awesome.
all this material right here on my desk. I like it hard copy, you know, I like to pull it out and see it.
It helps with the organization. I'm
Yeah.
OCD like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to
Yeah.
see it like right in front of me.
Plus, I can
And
never read my own handwriting. So,
and then if I need like, you know, a mom joke or a kid joke or a cheerleader joke, then I just go back to my reference and just pull one out that I haven't done.
it's
So,
organized like a dictionary or an encyclopedia. You
right.
have it off by sections. That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is genius.
Thank you. But I wish I could own it myself, but back to Jerry Seinfeld, he told me that he writes every day and he does the longhand writing with a pencil or a pen and a notebook.
Old fashioned.
And
Yeah.
so I met him when I was on, it was Dick Clark's Miss Hollywood pageant. And so he was instrumental for the writing for me. And you had asked me another question. Jay Leno. Jay Leno was a big supporter of the police department. So we were both performing at the LA Police Academy. And after I got off stage, he goes, "You're funny." I wanted to say, "Can I be on the Tonight Show?" But he wasn't hosting then. But so that's how I met Jay. So it's an honor. It's an honor to work with people who have gone through the trenches and done the work before you to show you what you need to do to become successful.
Absolutely. I mean, they're also influences too. I mean, look at where they were when you met them and they helped you out like that. That's so cool. They could have been jerks and they could have been mean. They could have not offered that
All the
advice.
people
They
that I
did.
mentioned are very, very nice. The higher you go in this business, the nicer they are.
Which usually the public thought is the opposite. So let's
Yeah.
clarify things for the people. Look at that.
The
That's good
higher
news.
level you go, they have nothing to prove.
No,
The higher level you go, the nicer you are.
it's beautiful.
The nicer
Thank
they
you.
are to you. Yeah, that's my
I love it.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're respectful. If you're coming at them being threatening, you're not going to get a response, you know?
Mhm.
That's again for the people out there listening, like if you want like something like this where you can interview somebody in the arts, just be respectful. You know, follow a parameter. It's all you really have to do. It's not that hard.
You're doing a great job, Joe.
I appreciate
Where
that. Thank you.
I see some messages, but then they disappear. I don't know where they are.
Oh, yeah, I've been bringing them up on the screen and then really quickly, but as you were
I love
talking, I
that we've
want
got following and people on.
Yep,
Looks like,
yep.
oh my gosh, it looks like we have like 25,000 people on right now. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. Wow, that's awesome.
One of them was me just responding to that one right there. There's a
Awesome.
bunch. Everyone seems to be very
Hey,
happy
let's
with this
go.
interview.
Inari. Hi, Inari.
Thank
Hey,
you guys so
Sonia.
much.
Thank
Anari
you.
asked how you're doing.
That's wonderful. That's
My
terrific.
buddy before
Wow, you have
him, my
a
buddy
lot of
Kyle.
followers. I can't
Yeah,
believe that.
we're doing all
Like
right.
20,000 people on right now. That's amazing.
Appreciate that.
Wow.
Thank you.
Social
Well, look,
media.
you're here. You help with it. We usually don't get this many viewers for a live stream, so you're a big
Right.
help with it.
Once they saw that it was me, that's it.
Yep. They hopped right
Okay.
on. Literally. So my next question for you,
Yes.
it says your bio says that you're from Miami, Florida. Do
Yes.
you ever miss it out this way?
Well, I go there, my son is 11 and a half. So you've got to always have something to do during spring break because kids get bored. So we do cruises a lot and it goes out of Miami. So I'm in Miami a lot, but I was raised in a Cuban neighborhood called Hialeah. It was near the dog tracks and I go and I visit there and it's nice to go back to your old neighborhood sometimes.
Cool.
I really miss it. And there's something about that. I love the ocean in Miami. It's always warm. I never go swimming in Southern California. A little bit too
Yeah, the
cold.
ocean here in Daytona Beach is always cold, even in the summer. It reminds me of I'm from Massachusetts, so how the ocean's always cold up there. Unless it's like
Oh,
August, usually by August it warms up because Florida, but I feel like Miami has nicer color water than Daytona does also. It's like crystal clear blue out there. And out
yeah.
here it's more muddy and gross looking.
Oh, sounds like you
That's
got to move.
yeah, well, I live in Florida, at least that. We have a question right here for you. Do you speak any other languages?
Sí, yo hablo español. Yo lo estudié en la escuela. Mi mamá era una profesora de idiomas. Et je parle un petit peu de français. J'ai étudié pour 2 semestres à l'école de Santa Monica College avec Monsieur Colbert. Ja говорите по-русски немножко, да. And I can sing in Italian. C'è la luna, mezza mare, mamma mia, me maridare. Okay,
So
that's
you are a multilingualist, like your mom wanted you to be.
yeah,
You just
yeah,
didn't you
that's
just
right.
didn't want to work for the UN. I get it.
Yeah, I guess so. I wanted to be a comedian.
Hey, you can utilize all of that. I mean, you already have, but my point is, like, you knew what you were doing. I respect that. That's so cool. That is so cool. So, what drives you to create art, film, stand-up, writing, etc.?
I really think that's where God is in the creation. I really feel that that's God's voice because when you stop doing whatever it is that makes you feel bad, whether it's drinking too much or smoking or eating too much, when you stop all that stuff and you're just still, here comes creativity. If you ever wanted to know what you're supposed to be doing, then just stop, whether it's negative thinking, whatever your thing is that makes you feel bad, drinking, negative thinking, overeating, cheating, who knows what it is. Just stop and be still and know that, hear the voice, know that I am God and see what happens. And the creativity will just come up, whatever it's supposed to be. And for me, it was comedy.
That's
So
beautiful.
when I'm upset or something, right away it's a joke. Right away it becomes a joke. Like people assume that because of the blonde hair and my bubbly personality and my great pair of sweater kittens, that I have a charmed, life and life is so easy and no frustration and no challenges. And sometimes they say very mean things to me. For
I don't
instance,
like
this
that.
one lady said, "You have no idea what it's like to struggle and drive a terrible old car and not know if you have, money to pay the rent and have to be on an HMO. You have no idea." And so I like to mess with her and I say, "Yes, I do. I totally struggle. My nanny's assistant quit. There's leaves in my infinity pool. And my chef and my masseuse took off to Vegas, and I feel very abandoned."
That is the way to do it. Just shove it back in. Like, here, you want the gold and silver spoon? Here you go. Take it back.
But the point
That's
is,
hilarious.
it all becomes a joke.
Yep.
People say the weirdest, meanest things sometimes.
Oh, trust me, I get it.
You're a comedian, you have to say Baruch Hashem, which means thank you, God. I can use this. I can use this in my act. Thank you.
I got a little story for you from a musician's perspective. Very similar.
Okay.
So I made a song about my mom dying of cancer on our trilogy, right? It's the one that closes the whole thing out. And a YouTuber did a reaction to it. This dude starts trashing it under a fake account in the comments. So I started threatening to sue. Shouldn't have done that. But I was upset. It was a song about my mom. Took me a lot to do it. And this person then went and then harassed me via email, the band, but I get all the emails for like 2 years straight. Goes under the name Wexel Plexel or some crap. And I just didn't acknowledge any of it. I ignored it, but it continued, leaving comments on our music saying it's all made with GarageBand loops, which is not true. 99.9% of it is multiple DAWs, and a lot of it's Logic. So it's a little bit of GarageBand in the beginning, but they were wrong. But like the last time this happened, like I sort of like set them up into it. I I put out like a really good video where it was actual music, nothing programmed. And I said, Wexoplexel has nothing on this or something like that. And of course, they responded and started going off. And I called them out for their harassment and all their crap because, you know what, I wasn't just going to sit there and take it anymore. But I get it. The level in which that it goes to, like, that was a 2-year game of me not saying anything to finally be like, boom, and here you're exposed. Take that. And they took their own comments back. They deleted their own comments.
Wow.
So
Fantastic.
and watch, I guarantee you this jerk is going to pop up in the comments here. But Kyle Anderson, you know, Jamie's editor and also co-stand-up person, he is a moderator on this channel now. So if anything pops up that he sees, he'll remove
terrific.
that. And yeah, Kyle
is a great guy and he's really funny. I'm sorry that happened, and I'm sorry about
not your fault.
God
Oh,
bless
thank you. It's been 6 years. She's
you.
at peace, you know.
Yeah.
I say a lot of the time now, it's not a bad thing. I'm kind of glad she's dead because she's not causing her or anyone else any more drama. She had a really troubled childhood and she unintentionally took it out on me and a lot of other people, including my father, especially my father. So, I mean, there was tumultuous things there, but the peace was made before she went. So that's what I think is beautiful about it. It's like I got to be able to have my last conversation be, I love you, Mom. I'm sorry I was a shitty kid. And she was like, oh, sorry. I love you, Joe. I'm sorry I was a crappy mom or whatever. So it was really nice to have that because a lot of people don't get that closure, especially with the tumultuous connection.
I'm glad you had that too, Joe. That's terrific.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I have one more question for you. Is that, do you have any other plugs, shout outs, etc.?
Sure. I always like to plug my team because I couldn't, really stay in that serene place. I always want to get back to emotionally sober, to be emotionally sober, to stay in that nice calm, not to get too high or get too low. So I really have a team. I want to give a shout out to my sister, Sonia Walshin, who's always been there for me and so funny in her own right. Funny.
She said, I'm great. That was nice.
Yeah, that's so. She's my cheerleader. She's terrific. And then, my mom passed away. May she rest in peace. And the day she passed away, my friend Joyce Kishinev, she told me, Sandy, I just want you to know I'm going to be your new mom.
Aww.
Every day I'm going to call you and tell you that I love you. So God must have knew that I still needed a mom. And she has done so. And she is the most supportive, unofficially adopted me, most supportive mom. And that's my shout out to Joyce Kishinev. Then I have a friend who is an attorney. And oh my God, is she funny? She is funny. There's a lot of funny people that aren't professional comedians. Carol Julian, and she is absolutely terrific and has been a wonderful support to me. And of course, my husband.
He's saving the best one for last.
Yeah, best one for last. He's well, there's also Max, my son. He's 11 years old.
That's important. Very important.
When I get a new bit and it's time to go to sleep, I'll even wake him up. I'm like, are you ready for a joke? You ready for a joke? And he's like, okay. And so I'll give him a joke right before he goes to bed and start him his sleep, with laughter.
That's beautiful. And then I'm glad he thinks you're funny too.
That's important. Me too. That was when we were dating. He goes, I said, we have to have a shidduch. He goes, what's a shidduch? It's Yiddish. It means that, it's a match. We have to see if I'm what you're looking for and you're what I'm looking for. He goes, okay, what do you want? And I said, you have to think I'm funny and be supportive of my career. That was one of the things.
That's awesome. And your son thinks you're funny too. So that it works all the way around, right?
And
there
Max, my son. my
Yeah.
son Max. He's 11 and a half, and he is the shining light. He gives me joie de vivre.
Aw.
He's my shining light, my Max Gelfound, and he's very funny and a talented artist, very talented artist. But he doesn't want to be a comedian. He does not want to be a
He's still
comedian.
young. He's
I
still
tried to
young.
bring him on stage. I wanted to do a tap number with him, and I remember bringing him on stage, thinking he's going to take a bow with me, and he's pulling it off. Get down, mommy. Get down. Get off stage.
Eventually, just wait a few more years. Watch,
Yeah.
he'll hit his teenage years and he'll be like, "Hey, mom, I kind of changed my mind."
I don't know. He's more of an engineer type.
Oh, I like that.
But, he's
Anari
very
just said,
talented.
"Oh, sorry, I didn't
Go
mean to
ahead.
interrupt again." Anari just said, "This is such a professional interview, and I'm so impressed by you two. That is so
Oh,
sweet.
thank
Thank
you,
you."
Inari. God bless
And
you.
Anari also spammed the like button. Oh, we appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
All right, we've come to the end. Do you have anything else
Okay.
that you want to say?
Well, I'm performing tonight in Ventura. I want to put a big shout out to Randy. Randy Lubis. He runs the comedy club. It's a big opening out there today. I'll be performing there. And Valentine's, I'm in Simi Valley. And then I'll be working on my rewrites on my movie. And I just want to wish everybody out there lots of love, self-love, and remember, be your own cheerleader.
Beautiful. Couldn't have been said better.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having
Thank you, Sandy. If you just stick with me just for one moment in the studio afterwards, I'm just going to close it out now. This has been the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast, and we thank you all for joining us with all your kind words. Once again, Sandy Gelfound, thank you for being here. We love you, and we love to do this again soon.
Bye-bye.